Well, let's get more now on the situation in northern Syria. That's where the Turkish government offensive has now been halted. The US President Donald Trump has claimed that his actions have saved a lot of Kurdish lives.
Thousands of people, however, remain displaced, and the threat from unexploded weapons and bombs will persist and endanger lives in the region.
Well, we're joined now by Bahia, Zikrem, the humanitarian and policy coordinator for humanity and inclusion. She's in central London for us. Good morning to you. Syria has already seen almost a decade, hasn't it, of humanitarian crisis. How much worse have things become on a humanitarian level since the Turkish incursion began?
So, since the Turkish incursion in the northeast of Syria, we went from more than 710,000 people internally displaced in northeast Syria only, to an addition of almost 6,000 people internally displaced just between 9th of October and today. And among them, 70,000 are only children.
We've now got this ceasefire. President Trump, very keen to tell the world, is permanent. Does it feel that way on the ground?
I will not comment on the President Trump declarations, but on the ground, what we see is that the humanitarian needs are still very high, and that humanitarian actors need to get access very quickly. So whoever will take control of the area or takes control of the area needs to ensure that humanitarian organizations keep having access to people in need of humanitarian response, which means more or less 1 civilian out of 3 just for northeast Syria.
Yeah, tell me a bit more about that. I mean, there are many humanitarian organizations on the ground, but just give us an idea of the challenges of getting the aid and the relief to the people who need it.
The challenges for humanitarian organizations are basically having physical access. When there is a change of control, there is a lot of uncertainty on how the new power or the new party who controls the area will give or not access to the organizations, which means that there is a new access negotiation that will start with potentially new authorities and a different impact. The other challenge that we see is, of course, the difficulty for us to protect for us as a humanitarian community to protect our local staff or workers that have been working already for the humanitarian organizations in the northeast and other places in Syria. And we don't know exactly how the new change of power will impact them on their daily work, and if they will be allowed, it's their choice, if they will and they should be allowed to continue working. Another challenge, of course, is to understand, to have an access and to understand better what are the real needs, and this means as well having more freedom and having an independence in the way we can access people in need.
Very many children affected by this. In fact, very many children for whom they've never known anything apart from war. How do you even begin to address their needs?
I think the children who are impacted by the Syrian conflict are, as you say, some of them never have known anything than the war. We need to start first by responding to their basic needs. And for humanitarian inclusion, what we see in the refugees communities in hosting countries is that children that have been impacted, for example, by an injury due to the war, need a lot of psychosocial support, but we need also to keep attention on the fact that their caregivers and their families need also to be supported and need to be supported in the way they will support their children living this new life with an injury and going to school and adapting their existence.
Yeah, huge challenges faced by many there. Very important work that you're doing. Thank you very much for your time on Sky News. Bahia, this weekend.